Hey there, welcome to our JavaScript interview bootcamp series. As I told you, I'll be sharing tips and a strategy to help you impress employers and land your next gig. In this series, I'll cover a range of topics that are commonly asked in JavaScript interviews. So, today we are going to dive into the world by starting with one of the most important topics that most interviewers start with: JavaScript basics. Whether you are beginner or experienced developer, it's a crucial to have a strong foundation in the basics of JavaScript to succeed in any JavaScript interview. So, if you are ready to level up your JavaScript skills and nail your next interview, let's get started.
That's the first question. What is the difference between var, let, and const? You can see here. Okay. Before I give you the answer, I want to give you the opportunity to pause this video and think about your own answer. You can also write your answer in the comment section below. Okay, let's talk about the answer. Let's start with the basic things about the JavaScript first. So, let, var, and const are keywords used for declaring variables in a JavaScript. In simple terms, a variable is a container that holds a value that can change over a time. Okay, so let's start with the oldest keyword for declaring variable in a JavaScript, var. Here is the example. You can see in the VS Code, I am writing here var count equals to 0. Explaining what is var. So with var, we can declare a variable and assign an initial value to it. So in this case, we are declaring a variable called count and assigning it the value of 0. Later in our code, we can also change the value of count to something else if we want. So what is the meaning of this? Suppose if I am writing like this, count equals to 1, and I am consoling this value like this. So now I will be get the 1 inside the console. If I am going in a console, see carefully here. I am getting here 1. So what is the meaning of this? Means you can redeclare the count var keyword variable and as well as reinitialize the values. Redeclare means here also we can write var count equal to 1, and still if I am not writing this statement and if I am trying to print, still I will be get the value 1. So in a var के case में we can redeclare the variable and as well as we can reinitialize the variables. However, var has some limitation. For example, it has functional scope instead of block scope, like let and const. So we will discuss in a let and const wala difference में. This means that's a variable declared with the var inside a function can be accessed outside the function. Okay, fine. Now let's talk about let. So here I have given the example, no? Var count equals to 0. Same thing. Also I am giving one example with the let keywords. Let count equals to 0. So just listen carefully. With let we can also declare a variable and assign an initial value to it. In this case, we are declaring a variable called count and assigning it a value of 0. Later in our code, we can change the value of count to something else if we want. Means similar like the var keyword. So now here maybe the interviewer will ask the different questions. Then what is the actual difference between var and let? So the first difference is I think you have remembered in a var के case में I told you we can redeclare the var keyword variable. But in a let के case में we can't redeclare the let keyword. Means if I am writing again let count equal to 1, so it will throw the error कि you cannot redeclare the same variable. But we initialize the values here. Means if I am writing like this count equals to 1, so this is possible. We can do that. These things. Am I clear? I think. Okay. The second difference is the I told you in a var के case में let has a block scope. So what is the meaning of this one? This means if you are declaring the variable with let inside a block scope, means such as loop or if statement, can't be accessed outside the block. Means that variable only be accessible in that particular scope. Okay, cool. Okay, finally let's talk about const. So const is also a block level scope variable. So let's take one example for the const as well. Suppose I am writing const pi equals to 3.14. So with const we can also declare a variable and assign an initial value to it. Jabki, however, the difference is that we can't change the value of const variable in our code. Means in a let के केस में and in a var के केस में we are doing that na count equals to 1. So this is possible in let and var में, but in a const के केस में now we can't write pi equals to 5. This is not possible because this const is a const variable and we cannot reinitialize the new value to this pi wala variable. Also one thing, we can also not redeclare the this pi variable. Like if I am trying to write like this, so it will throw the error. So just remember these things. I am summarizing overall the things. In a let के case, can't redeclare the variable, but we can reinitialize the value. In const के case में, we cannot redeclare the variable as well as we can't change the value. Same thing in a var में, we can redeclare the variable and as well as we can reinitialize the value as well. Am I clear? Okay, cool. Now the questions come here. Then which one we have to use? So it's totally depend upon the requirement. So the point is, use var if you need functional scope and want to declare a variable that can be accessed outside the function. Okay. Use let if you need block scope and want to declare a variable that can be changed later in your code. Okay. Use const if you need block scope and want to declare variable that can be changed later in your code. I hope this explanation helps you to understand the difference between let, var and const.
Are you ready for next question? Here it is. What is the hosting in JavaScript? Again, pause this video and think about your own answer. Okay, I think you are ready with your own answer. So hosting is a JavaScript mechanism where variable and function declaration are moved to the top of their scope before code execution. Let's take a deeper look at the function and variable hosting to understand what this means and how it is works. So I'm taking one example here. So you can see in the above code the variable x is hosted to the top of its scope. But since it has not been assigned a value yet, it is undefined. Means if I will save this file and if I am going inside the console, so this line number 3 will be print undefined. If you, let's suppose I am going, see here in a console it's printing undefined. Again I am coming the sources. Okay. However, when we assign a value to it later, means on the line number 4 page, I am giving the value 10 to the x. So you know as it is, this console.log will be print now 10. So because of hosting, what is happening in a JavaScript JavaScript weird engines because of memory phase variables already stored with the undefined in a memories,
And because of that, before the execution, if you are going in a JavaScript line by line, so because of that, this console.log of x is printing undefined in a console. And जैसे ही if you are assigning the value 10 to this x, then it is printing 10. Am I clear now? Okay, let's take another example. Okay, so this is the next example. You can see here on the line number 3 page, I am calling one function 4 and I am declaring the functions on the line number 5. So you can see here, before declaring this function, I am calling these functions. So what is happening in this case में automatically this line number 6, this console.log y will be print undefined. Because why it is happening, this function will host into this JavaScript on the top of the file, and because of that this for is a callable. And because of that, जैसे ही this line number 3 will execute, so it will go on the line number 5, it will go inside this function, and this line number 6 will print. On that time, JavaScript V8 engine will search why it is present in the memory or not. And you know, JavaScript run the code in a two phase, memory phase and the execution phase. In a memory phase में JavaScript V8 engine is storing all the variable with the undefined inside the memories. And because of that only, if you are going on the line number 6, so it will be print undefined, because we just declared the variable but we didn't initialize any value. Now it will come on the line number 7, and here again we declared this variable where y equals to 20. So now this 20 will replace with the undefined, and now y has value 20, and because of that only we will get one value on the line number 8 पे in a console, that is 20, because in a memory में y has now 20 value. Am I clear? Okay, let's take another example. Okay, so this is the next example. See here. So here same thing, on the line number 3 पे again I am calling the bar function, and on the line number 5 पे I have created another function and assigned to this bar variable, and using this bar keyword only I am calling this function. Okay, I am calling this function. So in the above code mein we are using the var keyword to declare the variable var. Since you know var is a functional scope and var is hosted to the top of its scope. I told you all the variable and the function hosted to the top of the file. So here also this bar is hosted to the top of its scope. So, however, when we try to call bar before it has been defined, we will get a type error. We will get a type error. Are you clear? Because here we are calling this bar function and this bar is going on the top, but this function is not, because this function is initialized into this bar variable. Additionally, we are using the let keyword to the declare the variable z here, see on the line number 6, and because of that only here you can see I have given one comment, it will print reference error, because you know let doesn't support the hosting concept, because let has a temporal dead zone concept. So since let is a block scope and it is not hosted to the top of its scope, so because of that, when we try to log it into the console before it has been declared, we will get a reference error. I think you are clear with the no hosting concept. Okay, now let's move on the some tricky questions. This is basically output based questions. So you can see in the screen what will be the output of the following code. Now your turn. Pause this video and think about your own answer. Write your output in the comment section below. Take your time. Okay. So I'm just clicking on this console. So the output will be A:1, B:2. Why it is coming? So maybe the interviewer will be confused you. See, it is a const variable, and why we are able to push this b into this x, because this is a const variable and you just said in a const wala definition में we can't change the value of const variable. But why it is happening? Because the object always taking the reference of the overall the variable, means we object cannot be reassigned, the object properties can still be modified, means we are just adding the new feature into this x variable, means we are putting this b into this object, we are not changing the variable. If we will write like this, the syntax, suppose, sorry, if I will write directly x equal to the new object A:3, something like that, then this is not possible because we are changing the value of x. But in this case we are not changing the value of x, we are just adding the new b key into the existing object. Same thing happening for the array as well. Let's suppose if I am giving the one another example, const array equals to 1, 2, 3. So don't confuse. If interviewer is asking these questions ki array dot push equal to 4, then can you tell me the output for this console.log array? So don't say ki if it is a const wala, so we cannot push this value. You can understand this example. This is a non-primitive data type. You can understand like this ki this array is a one plot, and on this plot pay we have a flat first floor, second floor and third floor. We are just adding the new floor into the plot, means on this land. So we cannot make a new home, already built home on the same land. We can add the new floor into the that already built the building. So like this we will say here the output will be A:1, B:2. Sorry, 2. Am I clear? But all good things must come to an end, and it's time for our final question of the day. This question is a bit more tricky. So I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on your own understanding of JavaScript before we dive in. So without further ado, let's get to our last question of the day. So here I am pasting the questions. See, and I'm doing comment. Now can you tell me the output for this one? I'm waiting. Yes, it's correct. The output will be 5, 6. Why? Because the x plus plus operator increments the value of x after the assigning the original value to y. You can see in the console as well. It's printing 5 and 6. 5 and 6. Okay, that's all guys. Thanks for joining me today for our JavaScript interview bootcamp series. I hope you found this helpful and informative. Don't forget to practice your JavaScript skills and stay tuned for more tips and strategy to help you nail your next JavaScript interview. Thank you so much.